Go for it.
Awesome. All right. Well, it is nice to be back for the finishing of it. Like I said, with that trip in between, I loved how the book started. Was very excited to see how it went through. I didn't go back and watch, so hopefully there's some more lively discussions on the middle part of it. But just how this book ended, just all the way through it, as we've gone through, I thoroughly enjoyed. This has been one of my favorite reads of recent, just because I think it he writes it in a no BS way. And it's a good reminder of a lot of the different topics and things that we've gone through in the past, just high level business and overview and making connections. And as far as, let me pull this back up here, there are a couple of my different notes on this one. But as towards the end of the book there, when he's talking about, thinking like a mobster, I was like, oh, this could be kind of fun. Where's he going with this? And just in negotiation, it's all about the leverage and how do the mobsters do it. And on these high level, where oftentimes their conversations are life and death. Well, that's not our everyday business conversation. Like it's, that's all fine. But how are you showing up in these negotiations, and ultimately, how are you preparing for your meetings? Ahead of time? Are you showing up? Are you doing the research? Are you running through? Are you role playing it with yourself so that when things do pop up and come up and surprise you, you're not completely derailed and all of a sudden, like the example he gave of the mobster who did go to the meeting, found out his dad was ratting him out, living it, didn't completely derail him. He was able to get out of it, able to figure it all out. But just, yeah, that would be, I'm thinking of it like from my day to day in the conversations that I'm having with people. Someone does, oh, I actually shopped your insurance. It's like, I'm not going to be like, oh my God, life and death. No, but it's like, okay, I've heard that. I've gone through it before. I've got ways to come back. Let's have a conversation about it. What's going on? How can we fix it? How can we adjust? Whatever. But I thought that was a great thing towards the end of it there. I did really enjoy, let me pull this one back up here on this part of it. Remind me on this, on where was it? Oh, yes. The always being, how did he put it? On, I had it right here. There was the beating Goliath section there that I did enjoy, but no, I think it was just before that. Where did he put it as far as staying? I think this was at the very end of the last section for you guys, but we went through, yeah, the staying paranoid. So I think that was kind of towards the end of what last week's was there. But the importance of that, of just you in business, when you build and you get to the top, the staying paranoid aspect of just don't rest on your laurels. Don't just say, all right, everything's groovy now and it's going to always be this way. There's always going to be somebody coming for you. And as a perfect example of that was with the Fortune 500. The reality is there's only what, some 10% of the companies that were on that 50 years later. The amount of people that are going to be flushed out and just how that has sped up. And the reality is, now in 14 years, that turnover is likely going to be that big just because there's always somebody else coming forward. And if you are not staying active, staying vigilant, taking ways to try and grow and get better and improve those efficiencies, if you're not trying to speed up the pace of business, if you're not trying to eliminate like redundant steps, what are you doing? Or you're going to fall behind. You're going to get overtaken. And so, just overall, like I said, the way I thoroughly enjoyed listening to this one as well because it was him actually reading it, and I've seen some of his different content online before, but actually going through this book, reading it, enjoying, I very much appreciated, what this book was, the good reminders in it, just seize the day. Here we go. Conquer business, conquer life, live a great one. I think that's how I would sum this one up here. So enjoyable.
I mean, I can jump in. I really don't have much to add since I kind of just jumped in towards the end of move 4 and move 5. And I really want to go back and read this. I did not do any reading
Like she was an idiot.
this trip. So, but the last move, as he was talking about some of the stuff, I mean, it definitely made me want to go back and read everything because he just had some great points. He was very relatable, I felt like, in not only the stories he shared, the examples, but how he spoke to, how he spoke to you. And then I mean, it pops out, but I thought the one thing he mentioned in one of the stories was like, in order to get to 1 million, what he said he was going to stop before he hit 1 million. I was just laughing because I'm like,
Which was pretty impressive in
that,
17 months, just being like 17 months, no sex, $1 million. I think just about anybody is gonna take that. Like, who
You're going to
knows?
do it
But
pretty
it's
well.
just,
Yeah.
yeah.
but to his point and to his credit, like to be able to do something like that,
Get hyper focused.
to exactly to be so hyper focused on your goal and to achieve that, and like the things that, right, how many of us know what we need to kind of eliminate from our day-to-day lives and our bit, to actually hit our business goals. Most of us aren't willing to do the extreme to get there. We'll kind of dabble, we'll do a little bit here, we'll cut corners because we could probably can still achieve and hit that goal without having to truly do the extreme. But look at the speed at which he went to hit that goal and achieved it, through some of these sacrifices and um
Cutting out hood rats.
yeah, crazy,
Script for
crazy,
success.
crazy move. So I definitely want to go back and read everything. I really liked just how he talked about the speed at which taking action and, taking action in a way that get there faster, right? Like if you have something in mind, what do you need to do and do it faster to get where you're at, right? And what that truly actually naturally eliminates as well when you do it faster, when you surround yourself in not only like people but environments. And so yeah, I think that's all the value I'm going to add to this right now until I go back and read it. But I absolutely, I have another long plane ride ahead, and this will definitely be on that to do.
Where are you
Because
going next?
I'm not going to be sitting business class, or I say that I will be sitting business class. So I'll definitely need something to kill time. I'm headed to London and Scotland in about a week.
Wow, very
Nice.
nice.
I'm very excited. Another bucket list trip. So
And I'm going to go chase moose in the wood. So I think I'm more excited, but yeah, who knows?
so
But don't you have moose there you're chasing in the woods?
Yeah, but legally I can't, like, that's when hunting season starts. So
Oh,
that's
gotcha,
when it
okay.
starts. So
no.
Gotcha. Well, and you're going to be flying in a little pod there also, Crystal, or no pods this time?
Probably no pods. It's not looking like a pod. I didn't book a pod, and there's only one left, and I'm gonna,
Kind of means that it's like there for you.
well, that's what I'm gonna say. Like I'm manifesting an upgrade,
it
because
was so nice. Like,
six grand upgrades just don't really resonate with the adventures that I want to have once I'm there. So we're
Yeah, I
gonna
hear
keep
you.
testing that I'm number one on the upgrade list for it. But as of right now, I'm sitting in the middle
Ooh.
between people in just premium regular class. I don't know. So I'm like, I'm gonna need something to keep my mind off of people, elbowing me.
What a nice long book should do it, huh?
Be like,
Maybe
I'll
an
start
adult
acting like a
beverage.
mobster.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. Yeah, once you get that upgrade, it's you don't ever go back to flying with the Gen Pop.
Exactly, right? Right.
So, but I'll jump in on so throughout this book, there's like been a whole bunch of obviously we repeating things that we're all saying. So, in the spirit of not doing that, I just basically wrote down some of the things that I thought were the consistent messages through the book because there's a lot of things that stuck out to me. And I know Chris, you had said before, like from beginning to end, it's kind of like the way, and Chris, you also said it too, with him being so relatable. So I was able to apply this a lot to a lot of things that I think about in terms of where I want to be and what I previously have done. So I like how they kind of break it down. In my opinion, they break it down into four different strategies. So it's basically about how you know yourself first, reasoning, building the right team, strategically scaling, and then understanding leverage. Right. So those were like the bullets that I thought. So for me, the big point that he put throughout the whole book was to get to know yourself first. Basically, if you don't have self-awareness, you're not gonna be able to get anywhere. So with like the values, the goals, things that I have in mind that I want to actually be motivated by or that actually do motivate me, I can't make decisions and use things that will align with those if I don't know who I am first. So I thought that was really interesting. And again, it seems so basic, but it's something that we've actually heard in every single book that we've really read so far. And then learning to identify the real problem before trying to solve it. So again, this is for me personally about slowing down. I tend to, as you can imagine, I always am speaking super, super fast. I am always moving in some way, shape, or form, which is why I have my little fidget thing here. So that also relates to a lot of the things that, in terms of trying to solve problems, like I tend to go through them really fast 'cause I just want to get them done. So, and I've always been told to slow down. So it's a continuously moving target for me to be able to get to fixing, if you will, I guess. And so that works for me, and it kind of speaks to something that I continue to work on. And then obviously the book is talking about several moves ahead, thinking 5 steps ahead. So if you're only thinking about the next move, you're not getting anywhere, right? So he talks about chess a lot in this book. And so, like one move decides the next five out can have multiple different outcomes, and can really have a lot of consequences if you're not really thinking about what those moves can then create. So that also goes into the slow down part for me. So that's why I thought this was a pretty good way to kind of sum it up and kind of break it down for me to be able to kind of focus on. And then he talks a lot about building the right team. And Chris, you had mentioned it also. We did talk about it last week, about being paranoid. So you're not having like tinfoil on your windows, but you're being paranoid about, not being complacent, right? So you're just being cautiously optimistic about things, but not letting your guard down. And he even talked about that at the end of the book also in terms about beating Goliath, right? So, and how you can win even though you're taking on Goliath, and how you can go through those steps in doing it. So basically for me, it's being about intentional of who I want to work with and thinking about what that could look like in the future, and what, again, going to that chess analogy. And then lastly, we talked about this a little bit last week also, but creating systems that can be duplicatable so they can be scaled and repeated. A lot of that kind of goes into the business that we work on now, which is LifeWave. And so it's building those processes that we can then have other people just continue to focus on and continue to pass on. Because otherwise you don't have a business, right? So for us, we have to be able to continually build these things that are able to be done repeatedly without asking, for people asking how to do this, how to do that. It should all be documented and kind of be used and continually improved along the way. So that's something that we do currently. So I like how they kind of went through all of that, and kind of it kind of just reinforces what we're trying to do in these businesses that we're building. So that's kind of how I summed it up for me. It's the way that I can take little pieces of it and actually be able to focus and kind of use those as little bites, if you will. So I really like this book. I thought this was really good. Crystal, like you, I want to go back and I think I went through fast through certain parts of it, and then that maybe I missed some little things that I think I could pick up on. And there's a couple books that I think that I went back and read that I really appreciated more after reading it the first time. So that's where I'm at. So looking forward to the next one.
Okay, yeah, I'll go next. That was awesome, you guys. First of all, thanks for sharing your trip. Now I just want to go first class too. But yeah. Uh so I always love when you're reading a book and it applies to every part of your life. And so the key points for me, and again, lots of our books have done this for us, but the key to Patrick said the key to his success was the work he did before the sit down. And that is huge. Like being unprepared for anything doesn't get you anywhere. And we know anybody who does a race or anything, they did the work before so that they can perform at the time that they need to perform. So consistency, again, we always hear about that. So then it made me think a little bit about David and Goliath. And people always use this example when there's a small person trying to beat this big person. But what I really love about the story about David and Goliath is that he didn't just pick up one stone, he picked up five. And everybody says, well, if he had enough faith in God, he'd only need one stone. But that's not what it's about. You can have faith and you can have all these desires and hopes and the end vision, but being prepared, like David knew that God had his back, but at the same time, he was also prepared that if he had to use another stone, then he would. It was there, it was ready. And I love that because you have to be really smart in life too. And also in that story too, and he doesn't say it in this book, but he didn't put on anybody else's armor. He didn't prove it. It didn't fit him. It wasn't for him. And I think that's really important too. Like when we read books like this, it's really important to remember we're not the people on the sides of us. We need to look forward and we need to prove what we can do. So knowing who you are and standing in that authenticity is really, really huge. And so I really love that he used David and Goliath, but I really had to like make sure that I was being prepared too. And then the last part, uh, I was thinking about how do you take notes?
Oh, you might be frozen.
Yeah, I think she's frozen.
I was like, well, we're waiting for that key part to come up now. What are you going to say? Anticipation. Well, uh, Rhonda, do you want to share with us then? So then, while we're waiting
Yeah,
for her to come back.
I can do that until she comes back on. Sure thing. Okay. Um, I've loved this book. I have just found it's resonated with me. It's probably at the top of my list. Like I find that he talks about things, but he doesn't just say, okay, well, go out and make the sale and be a good salesperson. Like he gives us information. He gives us examples. So those are some of the things that I've really enjoyed about that as I'm reading the book. He talks about controlling the narrative, your narrative, and using social media to tell your story. So it's always about, even when you're talking with someone, it's about connecting with people. It's about sharing about yourself, and sometimes that also includes your vulnerable moments, your down moments, because that's what people can relate to. They don't always need to hear about all your successes. Sometimes we connect with people by also talking about those things that haven't gone right for us. So it's important to be authentic. He also talks about consistency. Whatever you're planning to do, whether you're posting once a week or once every 2 weeks, whatever it is, it's about keeping consistent, because once again, you want to manage the expectations of people, and they want to be able to count on you. And it's important that you know that when people are excuse me, it's important for people to know that what you say is what you're going to do. So that's important. He talks about self-promotion, and there's a difference between being arrogant and really just telling people about who you are, what you can do. And there's a line he says, if you don't think you're worthy, then others won't either. And sometimes I think that's important for all of us when we can kind of get down, or we need to kind of remember that if we have something that we believe in, then that brings power to what we have to say. He talks about incremental growth, and he does this example, shares this example about when he was in the weight room. And one of the people that decided to work with him, he said, okay, each week I want you to add a 2.5 pound weight to your barbell. And I want to see how you're going to do and how you're going to improve every week. And I work out in the gym, and I know you can do 2.5 pounds for a few weeks, but at some point it gets pretty heavy. So here comes Shannon. Oh, hey Shannon. You know what? I'll just finish and then you can come on. Okay. I think that's okay with her. Okay. He talks about the 2.5 pound weights in the weight room, and the incremental growth, always pushing yourself, always trying to do a little bit better. And then my favorite part was when he talked about mobsters. I thought, oh my God, this is great. So I never thought about it like this, but what were mobsters, what not just were, but what are mobsters really good at? Networking, negotiating, and selling power moves. They're masters of communication and reading people. And the other one he didn't mention was intimidation, but I think that's also very valid here. And so I think that in business, I'm gonna think like a mobster, not the killing and the stealing and money laundering and all that kind of stuff, but just the way their brains think. And I thought I love that. I think that's a really great example. Um, what he says is be prepared for meetings. Make sure that you do your homework. You understand the situation from their viewpoint. focus on their concerns more than you're going to focus on your own, because in order to get, you need to give. And he quotes, of course, the famous Godfather line said by Marlon Brando, which is, "I'm going to make him an offer he can't refuse." So that's I think that's a great one. He talks about Zig Ziglar, the very famous sales trainer, and he had a cookware sales rep, and the rep wasn't making their quotas and stuff, and he asked the rep, like, "What do you think about the product, the pots and pans?" And the rep's like, "I don't know. I don't have the product. It's too expensive. I can't afford to buy it." And Zig Ziglar talked to him and said, you have to be able to believe in the product, feel the product. So once the person actually purchased his own product, he was able to share not just what he was able to read from a pamphlet or read on a book. He was able to share what he actually felt. So he's actually able to talk a little more about the value. And so it was his conviction, believing in yourself and the product, that really led to him turning himself around. And that's another thing that I found was important and good to remember. Leverage, thinking several moves ahead. True, sometimes I only think about what's in front of me, and it's hard to prepare for what's several moves ahead, something that I want in the long run. So that's something I'm going to have to work on, but I think it's important to think about. Having options. He talked about one business where the person had he had an $8 million business, and 5 million of that came from one customer. And he ended up talking to this person and saying, it's not a good idea to put all your eggs into one basket. And unfortunately, the person didn't listen, and they lost their one big customer. They went from an $8 million business to a $3 million business. And in the end, ended up actually having to close down and got bought out. And it's just another reminder to have options. And I think the word I would use in there as well is diversify, however that suits the narrative. Shadow people you want to emulate and learn from, and then understand what people want, what makes them tick. If you're trying to sell someone, he was talking about the person in financial management who was trying to sell to a group of seniors. He was trying to sell them like motorcycles and boats and all this kind of stuff, and that's not his audience. So knowing your audience, selling to what people want, and understanding what makes them tick. So all in all, I really enjoyed this book. I just found there was so many great nuggets, and yeah, this for me has just been a great read, and I really enjoyed it. So it's been lots of fun. Shannon, you up? Shannon, you're on mute.
Okay, look at
There we
me.
go.
I'm so technical over here. Okay, I don't even know what you guys heard. Like maybe I already said my spiel. What did you guys actually hear? Nothing?
I can't remember where we left off. You were talking
Anyways,
about you were talking about Goliath.
okay.
So
Okay,
I think
I'll go
you're
there.
pretty much just wrapping up your Goliath story.
Perfect. That was my wrap up. You guys heard everything. That was my wrap up. So yeah, honestly, I just want to be prepared and consistency, and yeah, looking forward. That's it. I think that wraps it up. I'm not going to speak again. That's silly.
We always like to hear from you. You can go over it again if you want. Just
Oh,
kidding.
that's silly. But also, Chris, have fun moose hunting. My husband is sheep hunting right now, so that's good. It's fun. Yeah,
Sheep hunting.
It's that time of year, just getting
it
out to the
is.
woods. There's something about it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sheep hunting for longhorns, up by Dease
Oh,
Lake. Yeah,
okay.
on
Is that
horseback.
Doll sheep or is that like the bighorn, like the
You know
stone
what?
sheep? Who know? Just sheep?
Honestly, I just know I said to him, do not come home unless the curl goes right around because I don't want any other head in my house. That's all I said.
I'm thinking Little Sheep. Yes, that
No,
big.
we're talking
I know
big.
that's. I'm thinking Little Sheep. That's like you hunt those. No, no, no. Okay.
So funny. Well, also don't forget, so now we are on our new book. So if we haven't ordered it yet, it's The Creative Act, A Way of Being. I think it's the author is Rick Rubin, I think it is. Rick Rubin. So if you haven't ordered it,
This
go ahead
one
and get
might
it.
be the one we didn't have. Was this the one that we were waiting for?
We confirmed the author with
Yeah, so what was this one?
this, wait, the one that we just finished.
No, the one that we're about to.
It's going to be The Creative Act, a Way of Being. I will put it in the chat for us. Hold on one sec.
Creative Act.
Yeah, The Creative Act, and it's by Rick Rubin. Oops, Rick Rubin.
A Way of
And I can
Being.
even give you the if you want to order it on Amazon. I
Does it
actually
look like
just
that?
ordered mine. Yep, that one.
Okay.
Yes,
All right.
sir.
Perfect. It should be here by Friday. All right.
It's
Let's see.
50% off right now on Amazon. So woohoo!
Oh, okay.
Yes. Perfect. And it's the hardcover, even not the paperback. Perfect.
Yeah, for some reason, for me, all the hardcovers are always the least expensive. I don't know what it's always.
It's a no-brainer then. Yeah.
Yeah, I like those better anyway. So they look better on the shelf. Anyway, well, thank you guys for everybody for joining. Have an awesome trip, Crystal. If we don't see you, if we don't, are we gonna see you before you go on your trip now, or you're gonna be?
Yeah.
Yeah, you should see me next week.
Okay, well then I'll say this to you next week then.
Yeah.
All right, perfect. All right, bye everybody. Have a great week.
Have a great week, all.
See ya.
Bye.